everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Ashley, and this is a conversation about vulnerability, about sorrow, about grief, about loss. We've all, or most of us, I feel, have all lost something or someone precious to us in the last while. And it takes a lot for us to move through that in a way that doesn't leave a scar or doesn't leave an old memory or even an attachment to want to be specifically with that person or in that situation again. It takes a lot of strength to get us through that. And every time that I've gone through moments of loss and deep grief, I normally have always been the strong one who makes sure that everyone around me is having the moment to breathe and to cry and to connect to what's going on in their life or in that situation or the loss of that person. And over the years when I was younger, I wouldn't fully grieve. I was at this ceremony recently, a Native American ceremony, where there was a healer in town, Native American, who was calling in this beautiful work with a soul that was either about to transfer over and or has been very ill for a long time. And in the ceremony, a lot of the grief that I had not dealt with from people who had passed in my life started to come in. And it was such a beautiful sense to connect with them in a deeper way again, even if it was just for a few minutes. And then also to be able to sense into the other people around me and all of their relations coming in as well. Grief and loss are a really hard thing and sorrow to work through, because it's like we think about all the things we didn't do, we didn't say, we could have said, we could have done differently, we could have done better. Even if it's just a person that maybe hasn't passed away, but the relationship has stopped. In so many ways, we don't realize what we have until it's gone fully, and we don't always accept it as it is or understand even what someone is sharing with us in those moments. And sometimes it takes us a while for us to understand how to really get into the deep feeling of feeling ourselves in such a deep way, vulnerably, and really with ourselves and with other people. It's just not always easy, you know. So I understand if anyone's going through sorrow or grief or loss right now, or has been, how difficult it can be and how challenging. And you know, a lot of the people who passed away in my life, or old relationships that broke apart, or traumas I had, or I delayed in having the emotional depth and response to it of really sitting with the sadness and the pain and the hurt that I accumulated. And it's taken me a long time to realize deeper that it was still there, to realize that these ways have been there for quite a while, and that underlying energy, that meta energy, has been sitting there for such a long time that it's almost like something that's writing my underlying energy, my systems, my roots. So just like this healthy tree we see, this painting above me that my sister did, actually, the few she's painted, it's beautiful. Or my red and black shirt. It's all about the healthier the roots are, and not just with self, but with all in life, in books about plants and trees. And it's the same about the heart connection or the human connection with each other in all life, is that we have to keep our roots connected, family tree connected. You know, for a very long time, there's been moments where because of grief or trauma or sadness or loss or whatnot. It's the pain would help me to isolate myself to such a degree that I would separate myself from everyone around me, because I didn't want them to feel the pain that I was feeling. I didn't want to be vulnerable to share that with people. You know, I always want people to see me, and probably most people, as like happy and good and having a wonderful time and like nothing's wrong, you know? And that's just not the reality of being human. We have like 360 degrees of a whole person, and most of us act with this front face of mask of, oh yeah, everything's good, everything's fine, I'm okay, everything's good, you know? And we don't share always this other part of us, this piece of us that's even deeper than that, that really showcases all of us. And it's almost like a fear, because if we're really true and we're really truthful with how we're feeling, it would most likely be more like, instead of saying, oh yeah, I'm fine, it could be like, I couldn't sleep tonight, or last night I couldn't sleep and I was up all night, and I just moved into this new place and my stuff's all over the place, and my brain keeps running and I keep thinking about this person that I lost, and or I feel like I've lost, and the remorse and the sadness and the pain and the hurt and the confusion and the unwillingness almost to even accept it sometimes is daunting. It's like this drain and this heaviness, and my mind can't stop focusing on what's not there. You know, like 60-70% of me is like staying on that all day long. And it's funny because even when this person and others were in my life, my mind was on them about the same, if not more. So and I don't feel like I ever told them that enough or shared that with them enough. So how much I really loved and valued and accepted and appreciated them while they were living or not. And you know, it comes in, these relationships come in multiple forms, and not all of them are the same, but the grief and the loss and that sorrow, the deep pain is similar. And you really feel we really value people when they're not in our lives anymore in multiple ways. And it sucks. And then we start to learn more about life and more about surrender and more about what it means to love and to care and to have understanding and compassion, and to really know the depths of what it means to love. It's like loss helps us love more. And one of my greatest things, my fears, has been big time, was because of the loss and the grief that I had faced earlier on in my life. From very close relationships, I started having this fear of losing, of grieving, of loss. So I wouldn't let anyone get too close, because I didn't want to get them so close and my heart get broken because of losing them. And honestly, it just ended up pushing people away, and I didn't realize that either. So it's like, at the end of this past year, with everything that's been going on, it's like I've been opening my heart, and every time I get lashed in a sense, or someone leaves, or something happens in a terrible, traumatic way or chaotic way, it's like I would just go, breathe fully in, and just push through that surrender of pain, and just let it go up to the Creator, to God, and just keep like, in a sense, ripping open my heart to open it again, no matter how much pain it took, and just keep opening it, opening and again, so that I could fully love, not cover it. It's been really painful, but it's actually been very gratifying too, because I'm so grateful. Because if I closed it like I've done in the past, that also pushes people away, and it closes me from feeling. I have one tattoo on my wrist. I know it's backwards on the camera, but it says "feel" with the ends of the sign. And it's really about, for me, because I used to draw it on my arm for so long, about feeling into myself, feeling my truth, feeling what feels light, what feels right, what feels harmonic, what feels peaceful, what makes me feel joyous, what makes me feel happy. And the one thing that I have not done the best at is the balance, because the sadness, separation, the anger, the frustration, the rage, at times from the pain, the hurt that's come over me, the sorrow, the grief, I would stay in it. I've stayed in it so long, for years sometimes, that it just continued to be this rotation that I was constantly on, the past into the present. And, oh, that's creating a new future, past, present into a new future, past, present to a new future. It just kept going to roll into another present moment of insane pain or similar feeling of this deep sadness with elements of happiness, elements of joy, elements of love, elements of truth and compassion and lightness, and then almost kind of like something dark or chaotic, or losing something. Could even be a job, anything, like just losing something again, and that darkness just submerging me. And anyone who's had depression or anxiety or anything, loss, grief, we all have felt these things, loneliness, before, at least one time, even if it was just 1 hour of your day. Maybe not to the depth, and nothing's compared, and nothing's like better or worse than the other, because it just is. In my understanding, my definition of it, it is, and it's a story of the past. And the solution that I find only is to continue to keep that heart open, to continue to walk forward in what I sense brings joy to me, and love and light, and do my hardest to attempt to be completely in the present moment, and to spend, after those traumatic situations or loss situations where those people or those opportunities have left us, that I spend half the day maybe in that sorrow and that sadness, or a quarter of the day, and then I make myself clean and clear and organize things for a little bit of the day, just to kind of keep things moving. I've learned over the years that like scrubs our mind. It keeps us well, it keeps us healthier, because we're able to kind of like release and relax and keep up with our chores, in a sense, keep up with life, our life work. And then from there, play and create and have joy and spend social time with people, maybe that are 75-50% of the day. Because if we're not doing those things, we continue to stay in this rut, and we continue to stay in the sadness and the grief, which just perpetuates it forward, and we keep co-creating that more and more. My dog's snoring. So, to any of you who are out there watching these videos, as Ashes to Grace, as Hum, as I'm getting things going and started, the names are moving in and out. I just want you all to know that you're not alone, that the pains of many people all over the world, we all have our own pain. We all are in similar situations, and I feel the solution through this is through peace within, finding it, the harmony within, finding it, that light within, finding it, and directing ourselves through the darkness to the light. I know that that's what it is. We just don't always know what the light is. We can't find it sometimes. It's so dark inside of us. All we see is darkness, and all we see externally is darkness. It's not until we start to go inside ourselves and really work through the darkness and practice letting it go that we're fully able to see that one piercing spot through the rocks, in a sense, where there's that little light beam coming through. And because we're the co-creators, we can get through it any sort of way, even if it seems impossible. There was a vision I had once when I was doing deep healing work some years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I was in a session, and I just remember going through this dark cave. And I don't really love the cave sense where it's all claustrophobic or really tight in, but going through that, and then it opened up to this cavern, and there was water where my feet were, and I was kind of trudging through the water to get to the other side, and it was just dark, pitch black. You know, when it's pitch black, you can kind of see somehow a little bit. It's like your eyes regulate to the shadows and the light of the tops of the stones and etc. And then all of a sudden, at the very tip top of this cavern was a tiny hole. And as I looked up, I started to climb up the rocks, and I started to get up towards this little hole. And the rocks started tumbling, and I kept falling and falling and falling and falling. And I didn't know what to do, because I just felt like I kept getting dragged down to this muck. And I couldn't get to that light. I could see it, but I couldn't get to it. And I got bummed out for like hours that day. And then I finally just co-created a way for me to lift myself up. My vibration, my being, my activity. And within 6 hours or 7 hours, it's like all of a sudden, the rocks elevated with me, because I was co-creating it, so anything's possible. And I was elevated to the light, and I couldn't get through it, so that I became it. And it just surrounded me. Instead of me trying to get through it, it just opened. And right as it opened, the walls separated. The whole thing, even underneath my feet, separated. And the fear of falling was so great, as also the faith of knowing and trusting that something would be there to catch me. So as my legs were separating on this vision, which realistically felt like it was fully happening, like I was pulling myself in two, I just let go. And right as I let go, all the darkness went away, and I fell thousands of yards, it felt like. And all of a sudden, this creature came, and right as I fell, it scooped me up, and it flew. And it flew away, and the next morning I woke up, and this creature, in my dreams, as I woke up, I was on the beach, sitting outside of a cave, the water crashing, and this creature next to me, this animal, it reminded me of a phoenix bird, and that character off of, what's the movie? Oh, The Never-Ending Story. It was just beautiful, and I was safe. So I'm sharing this just to say that every day there's moments where we can choose the dark and the light. We can move through that pain in totality, in sorrow in totality, in grieving in totality, little bits every day. Because I don't feel like it ever fully goes away when you lose someone. Probably doesn't go away until you leave this world, honestly. And possibly then too, you still are connected. because it's that divine web, in a sense, of all the tree's roots, the spirit roots connected, the heart roots connected. We never fully are gone from one another. We're fully in spirit. And it's just a beautiful, yet chaotic and ebb and flow and dark and light space to be in. It's like I see such beauty in the darkness, the imperfection of life. And I love that about it. And there's such beauty in the light as well, and imperfection in that too. So for any of those of you who are looking for more conversations of this, please leave your comments, like this video, subscribe please, share with your friends, and I'll continue making videos as I go here and creating more content. It's really what my life is, I'm going through personally, and sharing with you all too. So much peace to you today in rectifying, recovering, rejuvenating, and creating yourself exactly how you want your day to go. With so much love, light, and gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for seeing me, listening to me, hearing me, and creating a more positive life with me. Being here to listen to me vulnerably speak on different subjects. Thank you. Bless you.